Let's break down some multiple choice questions. I'll pick a course, then we'll break down 4 possible examples of questions you may see in the exams. This is going to be super helpful, not just to get through and see answered questions, but also let's learn from them. Let's start at the top. Ontario Real Estate Salesperson Course 1, Exam Master MCQ video breakdowns with me. Just quickly, if you are looking for that additional support to pass these exams fast and efficient, look to the Exam Master mini courses in the description below from C1 all the way to Sims 2. More on that later in the video, but let's just dive right into the computer. Okay, here we are at the first question. We'll break down 4 really good questions here. If you haven't seen me doing this before, we'll just read it, go through each one. These are questions you're going to see, or topics at least for sure, on the Course 1 exam, and maybe even subjects, topics that students are struggling with, because I do talk to so many students every single month. Okay, let's just go read it and let's go through these awesome questions to know and learn from. 1, before signing an agreement of purchase and sale, a buyer tells the salesperson they would like their lawyer to review the contract first. How should this be handled? Let's move over to A, everything we read. I talk about this, everything we read, break it down, leave the cursor, move the cursor with you. Like I can't, this small little stuff works for your brain. When you take a deep breath, you put the cursor top left, you read the question, you move the cursor over to A, you process it. If it's possibly correct or you don't know, you leave it hovered over, or if you know it's incorrect, you move on and move the cursor with you. This small little stuff does work, trust me. Okay, A, the buyer must sign the contract first and can only have their lawyer review it after it is fully executed. Okay, basically, they are not required to sign anything, right? They can seek their legal advice. They may obtain legal review prior to signing. That's for sure. Look for these words too, must, right? I kind of talk about these in the Exam Master mini course. There's like 6 keywords that they use to try to trick you, right? And sometimes they use them the other way too. B, the buyer cannot send the contract to a lawyer before signing because it is only a draft and not legally binding. Kind of a tricky, they're going for, try to trick you here with only a draft. But tell the truth, even if it was a draft, because we're talking about the agreement of purchase and sale here, right? This is legally binding. If it was some sort of draft, they can still send it to their support, their legal support, for advice before committing to anything. Move on to C from there. The brokerage must provide a lawyer to review the contract for the buyer before signing. Some people don't know this, but basically the brokerage is not providing any legal services of this nature, right? You could say unless properly licensed to do so, but basically it's just not going to happen, right? So just for the sake of these exams, the buyer must retain their own independent legal counsel if they choose to. Then on to D. And even if you've done process elimination and you're like, okay, wrong, still always read D, right? Just make sure, right? You got time on these exams. The buyer can send the contract to their lawyer for review before signing if they wish. They have the right to seek independent legal advice before signing anything, and a registrant must not discourage or prevent that. D is the answer. 2, top left, deep breath. A newly licensed salesperson just closed their first deal. Okay, nice, exciting. They were working with a tenant to find a lease and it went very well. Okay, good. When is a salesperson entitled to receive their commission? Okay, I was kind of like being like this stuff, and this can happen a percentage of the time, not always, of course. You're reading a question and this means nothing. This means nothing. And when is the salesperson entitled to receive their commission, right? So sometimes in these long worded questions, just realize that there's only some towards the end sometimes that even matters. Not always though, of course. Okay, on to A. A salesperson's share of commission is paid by the brokerage only after the transaction has been completed unless otherwise agreed in writing. Okay, so this is pretty good. It does have the word only in here, right? So sometimes you got to look for these keywords, but it's giving you an out, right? So only after the transaction is completed unless otherwise agreed in writing. Okay, so I like this one. Always leave it hovered over possible answers that could be correct, but always move on. Okay, so B, a salesperson may take their commission early if the transaction is expected to close within 30 days. It just sounds wrong and made up, doesn't it, right? Commission timing must follow the agreement with the brokerage. Cannot be like arbitrarily accelerated type thing, regardless of the 30 days, you know what I mean? So move on to C. Any commission dispute must be resolved. Okay, now it's on to commission dispute, right? Because this is different. Any commission dispute must be resolved directly between the salesperson and the client without involving the brokerage. Okay, so if this crazy stuff like this were to happen, obviously doesn't happen, very low percentage, but all disputes over commission are handled through the brokerage, right? Or or even further than that, Rico, because you are never paid directly by the client. You are always paid through the brokerage, right? The brokerage receives that money, pays you your split, or wherever you have agreed with them. So disputes directly between the salesperson and the client without involving the brokerage would be involved when it comes to commission being owed or any disputes like that. I'd move on to D from there. A salesperson can request their commission directly from the buyer or seller as soon as the offer. We kind of just covered that, right? So commission is paid by the brokerage, not directly from the client, and only after completion, unless otherwise in writing, right here, unless otherwise in writing. That is the answer. Answer A, and move on to three. Three, top left, deep breath. Liam is representing a buyer interested in purchasing a small mixed-use building with a residential unit above a retail unit below. The buyer asked whether the building complies with fire safety regulations. Liam wants to ensure that he clearly understands the difference between the Ontario Building Code and the Fire Code before responding, okay? Which of the following is not? Okay, there you go. You read the whole thing and then you see this not word. If you've been following along, if you're course one, you might not even have had an exam yet. There's going to be not questions, right? Not questions in my exam master, I really break down for you because I even make them easier for you because now there's three correct answers and you are looking for the one not correct. Or if I can phrase it better than that, so it's not confusing, it's essentially accurate or not accurate. You are looking for the one that is not accurate, meaning three are correct. It takes to create questions and to try to trick someone, it's it's harder if there's three wrong answers because those are tricky worded wrong answers. In this particular case, there's three actually right and then one's wrong. So it's almost the reverse. And if I break it down in my exam masters as one of my fundamentals, and of course we go over questions like this all the time, right? So you're in a not question now. So as soon as you know that, okay, boom. We now know there's going to be three accurate and one not accurate statement. So carry on. Not what which of the following is not an accurate statement regarding these two codes? Okay, on to A. The Ontario Building Code is a regulation under the Building Code Act and primarily applies to the construction of new buildings and alterations or renovations to existing buildings. Okay, this sounds good to me. And again, if you don't know, right, you got to keep it hovered over, but you're reading, you're learning, right? Everything, longer worded questions like this, longer worded answers means there's more information for you to gather, right? So let's say you don't know, leave it hovered over. B, the Ontario, and again, you're looking for what's not accurate because you don't know if this is accurate or accurate, not accurate or accurate. B, the Ontario Fire Code is a regulation under the Fire Protection and Prevention Act and regulates ongoing fire safety requirements in existing buildings. Okay, so the Ontario Fire Code is a regulation under the Fire Protection Act and Prevention Act and regulates ongoing fire safety requirements in existing buildings. Okie dokie. So this one is mentioning that it's doing it in existing buildings. Okay, let's try to think about that for a second and see what happens. C, the Ontario Fire Code sets out the construction standards for new buildings, including structural fire resistance and fire separation requirements during initial construction. Okay, this is good information. So these are basically saying the opposite, right? And when it happens in these exams, they have this. These two almost don't matter. Obviously, read them because let's say, for instance, you don't know, right? So you're like, okay, these are saying the opposite. Let's find out what it is. D, Part 3 of the Ontario Building Code contains requirements related to the fire protection, including fire-resistant ratings, fire separations, firewalls, and fire safety equipment. Everything sounds great there, but let's say you didn't know. You didn't know what Part 3 was. You never read it, didn't understand it, but you know that there's two here, right? Obviously, bookmark it. Use your bookmarking feature. Come down here, press the bookmark. This will turn to 1, and you'll come back to it later. And you think you're 50-50 on bookmark and just come back to it, but always pick one. Always pick one you're leaning towards because just in case you don't have time, right? Don't leave anything blank. The answer is C, right? This is actually not correct. So the fire code does not govern initial construction standards. Those requirements fall under the Ontario Building Code. And let's go bring up a code, a little bit of a note here, right? Note, the Ontario Building Code regulates construction and alterations, including fire protection requirements in new builds. Okay, perfect. The Ontario Fire Code regulates fire safety in existing occupying, right? So good to know right there. The Ontario Building Code construction standards is building code, including new builds when it comes to some fire stuff. And then the fire code is ongoing fire safety compliance. So keep that in mind. And I bring this up because I have students that reach out that have had multiple questions on the Ontario Building Code and the Ontario Fire Code. So whether it's a question exactly like this, just learn from this and understand the concepts. Understand the concepts so you can apply it to any question. Okay, C is the answer there. And let's move on to 4, top left, deep breath. When preparing an agreement of purchase and sale for a property that may qualify as a matrimonial home under the Ontario law, which of the following statements best reflects the purpose of the spousal consent section? Okay, perfect. On to A. If only one spouse is registered on title, the spousal consent section is only required if the buyer specifically requested. A couple of big onlys in here. Spousal consent is required where the property is a matrimonial home, regardless of whether only one spouse is on title. Okay, on to B. Spousal consent is only required if both spouses are listed as sellers on the APS. This is kind of contradictory almost to a certain extent, right? If both spouses are on title and signing sellers, spousal consent, if you don't know, on the agreement of purchase and sale is a separate section, and it only needs to be filled out if there is a non-titled spouse, right? If they're both already on there, they're just signing as normal. But that can trick you, right? If you're just don't even know what spousal consent is, right? And that's why you're here. C, once spouses are separated, the spousal consent section no longer applies because the property is no longer considered a matrimonial home. This is tricky, yet incorrect. Separation does not remove the matrimonial home. Basically, that protection of matrimonial home protection. So it doesn't really remove that if they're just separated. If you know what I mean, spousal consent is still required unless like a court order, like you would need to see something else written to release to provide otherwise, right? So separation wouldn't matter, which means you kind of know the answer is D, but still read it so you can understand it. The spousal consent section confirms that the non-titled spouse consents to the sale of the matrimonial home as required under the Family Law Act. This is the correct answer, D. Okay, guys, good 4 questions here. And again, take these as concepts that you will possibly see. You know I help a ton. I have other amazing videos when it comes to course 1, maybe what you'll see a very high percentage of the time. I kind of want to do this video. It might be in the lower percentage, but it comes down to these key marks, right? 75 questions. Sometimes you got it. Like basically, what does that work out? 57 to get, you got it 75% to pass, right? It could come down to 1 or 2 questions, 1 or 2 topics. So I wanted to make this video. Hope it helped. We'll see you right at the computer now.
I really hope that helped, guys. And as mentioned, if you are looking for the additional support, look to the Exam Master mini courses in the description below. It's mini notes, mini quizzes, my exact fundamentals I use to pass all exams first try and in 4.5 months. And I also do video breakdowns of the 4 types of questions you may see in the exams. Those links in the description below are also value links for the time being for the YouTube family. I'll add that link to the exammaster.ca right here as well if needed. If you have any questions at all, DM, email, comment on this video. I get back to everyone. My name is Callum Moore, eXp Realty real estate broker here in Ontario. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.